little bit of survivability and a little bit of damage. We'll see who's going to adjust best, as we have quite a few interesting picks here.
Definitely a handful of interesting ones. The one thing that I first want to call out, of course, is the first picked Juliet. This champion has gotten a 92% win rate heading into the day today in the North American Strikers League. And we're now seeing Joker pilot it, obviously, right? No slouch when it comes to playing this brawler position, as it turns out. But of course, you might be wondering who that midfielder is on Showtime. It's Kainoob! Kainoob jump scare. He's back in the league, this time playing with Showtime. And, you know, I think Showtime is a team that we often talk about Xianzu's role, but just putting in and slotting in Kainoob here, theoretically, should be about the exact same.
Yeah, it's about the best replacement you can find to Xianzu, right? Obviously, Kainoob, an excellent player. And gonna bring up all the value as well. And I also want to say, I feel like the comp that the side of Showtime has come for here, it's just very kitten compy. You just have the Monk, you have the Arrow, you have the Julie. You're just very heavily leaning into this whole Juliet is kind of strong right now by just saying, you know what, we're just gonna enable you as much as possible. We're gonna make sure you have every single tool you could possibly need to attack the enemy with. And Joker, you just do your magic up front. We'll hold it down for you in the back.
Yeah, I mean, not many other players, right, are you going to put your full, absolute faith into. Joker being one of them, right? Very used to that playstyle overall, but at the moment, it's not quite getting the job done. Seen a couple of team plays come out of WEEBRON, and I think that's the other thing about this sort of kitten comp style. We're used to talking about Era as a scaler. And I guess in this one, right, you're really wanting a handful of those special power awakenings on a Juliet to really get things going.
Yeah, most definitely. You need to find that scale to really get online in this game. And that is why they're not going to have the easiest time early on, right? Weeeees together with that Amy Zentaro, Juno. It's just a lot more standardized, it's a lot more controlling, and also has a good ceiling for damage to be going for if the Awakenings are right. So depending on how the drafts are going to go and how the scale is going to go, we might have some very different results here, but especially for the beginning, it's going to be a bit of an uphill battle for Showtime. They do find a goal here now, and that could get everything started, but they're still down one.
Still down one here, and you mentioned, right, like, just the ability to have the amount of presence that these strikers have on the map. We've talked about Zentaro, the multiple dashes. Obviously, Aimee has been around perennially in the game, and Zach's back on the Juno, actually having that goalie go back to it. Juno being the most popular striker by presence in the North American Strikers League heading into the day today. So interesting to see that one drop back on the goalie. Meanwhile, right, look at Kainoob. He's a player who you're used to seeing control and command the midfield, but obviously doesn't necessarily have the tools to do that here, and is mostly looking to funnel into Joker, who's currently off the pitch at the moment. It's a power play for Weeeees. Good energy burst here from Barcode. Looks to the corner, but Zach Smack is back in time and will be able to fend it away. Now looking down for Carmine here, perhaps. Joker gets in the way, but again, doesn't have speed or much of anything to continue following up the core. Recovery drone is procced out of Weeeee, and we're in overtime now. Joker looks to collect the core, can't quite get it done. Carmine now trying to find it, but no, Joker just threads the needle. Well done to find that shot off the post to the corner, and we've got a tied ball game.
Incredibly important to find it, because looking at the overtime performances as well, the side of Weeeees just have so much pressure just because they have a Juno, right? Those bubbles will be sending that core red almost immediately, and it's just going to be so much more difficult to deal with a pick like that if you get into overtime. So important that Joker was able to find the goal there when he did, because that means they're going to get another point that they can play out, and another possibility to set themselves a set win.
Another possibility, but it doesn't look quite well here, as Weeeees has got the onslaught going already. Looks like it will get sent away, at least for now. Joker trying to control the core here off the top side. We actually very low on Sager, knocked away from the energy burst out of Barcode. No real abilities online for anybody here. Now Carmine just going to be able to pop Kainoob off the map. It goes right on over to the waiting sword of Weeeee. That'll be Weeee's taking the first set.
They will be rewarded with the first few choices in the Awakening draft as well. Carmine being able to pick up a first Awakening here, and I'm seeing a hotshot in this draft. And now it's a little bit of a question as well. Are you trying to greet the hotshot down to Zaxmac, or are you just saying, you know, it's going to be fine enough on Amy? Because if it's not picked up here, I feel like it's going to go down to the arrow. The Monumentalist, solid choice for that turret as well. The hotshot does find its way down to Zaxmac, so that's going to be a lot of value. Kind of getting the Among Titans is going to be an incredible pickup as well, helping with that midfield control, just getting that snowball started because there is even more movement speed. And talking about movement speed, Super Surge Mako as well. So once Mako starts banging those drums, it's going to be fast.
I think there's a lot to like from both teams in this draft. You mentioned the Super Surge, right, from Barcode. Joker picks up Reptile Remedy. Good survivability here, especially early on when we're actually seeing a decent bit of damage come out of this team composition from Weeeees. And then, of course, the Among Titans, further amplifying this idea of, you mentioned, the kitten comp. Really looking for Joker. Kainu popped off the map once more by the Gravity Well this time, as we're seeing power play opportunity for Weeeees. They just take a moment, actually, to just slow the pace of play down for just a moment. Joker now back up to this top side. See the Firewall Sentry turret trying to help get this one away. Great ultimate. Zaxmac is there in time. This Joker is looking to make a more creative play on the core in the opposite corner again. This one is going to thread the needle, though, right around the Gravity Well. And Zaxmac doesn't have the bounce this time.
Yeah, those cooldowns important to have on the defensive end. If you don't have them, it's going to be so much more difficult to defend anything even close to an open barrier. But you have a flip on Carmine now and close to a flip on Weeeee, so they're probably trying to look to get this value out of it almost immediately.
Energy Burst traded immediately. Carmine burns his, as well as, I believe it was Joker taking a barrier. Here's Weeeee this time, looking to send it in with the Firewall Sentry, but Barcode's got the clearance. And you see the idea here, right, for Showtime is really just trying to keep possession in the core by keeping it up the wall, up to the corner, but there's a decent number of things, right, to send that away. An Errant Blobo, a Firewall Sentry, helping prevent that momentum from really building. Second barrier taken here, Weeeees. We on the aggressive. Can't quite find it. And the recovery drone will be procced out of Joker. Now we see Carmine and Weeeee both trying to come through. Zaxmac leaping a little aggressively past the yeesh line here. Joker looks for the punish, finds one barrier, but doesn't find the goal. Overtime now. Just start to see the core speed continue to escalate. Weeee's down low. Here's Joker with a shot. Zaxmac's got it this time. Now collecting is Weeeee, looking to dash on away. Will do just that. Zaxmac keeps possession here. Well done. And now Carmine, opportunity with the energy burst. Joker dives up. Weeeee wasn't ready. And it goes right back to Zaxmac. So maybe possession will be kept here. But Weeee's going to get his energy drone procced away. Or recovery drone, I should say. But a slice and dice as Weee's made his way back to the other side of the pitch. Will be what puts the goal in.
Even though Barcode and Kainu got a brilliant clear through that turret, in the end, Weeeee was just present there and was able to get it in. So good defensive work, but as of right now, Weeeees have all the tools they need to just continue building up the pressure and continue to potentially build out a set lead here.
Uh-oh. Back around the backside. Sad Boy's angle, but it doesn't matter. Barrier falls anyway. And another opportunity for Weeee's here. Joker's used everything in the kit now. Weeeee sends it up to the top side. Barcode's got the strike shot this time. Gravity Well has dissipated. And Carmine using the abilities as well, but actually going to get stopped by Kainu. Very small error here. We'll be looking to keep this one in the corner. Right back up to Joker. Joker's going to get KO'd. They find the barrier, but at what cost here? Power play opportunity for Weeee's. Weeee's going to continue collecting here. Zaxmac has the Blobo, but didn't keep the pressure up quickly. Carmine stays in the corner here. Top of the box. Denied by Barcode. Sent away, but Zaxmac keeps it forward with the Blobo. Well done. It's another set point here for Weeeees.
Yeah, there's only so many abilities, there's only so many strikes you can have to defend, and if you have the Blobos being thrown at you like that consistently, at one point, it's just going to be a bit too much. What else is going to be a bit too much is that buff and that dash punch, though. Now, Showtime in a power play.
Power play opportunity here. Blabo's already down from Zaxmac on the offensive here. Carmine's rotated back into the box. Wee's back online, and as that happens, looks like the transition comes through, but the core gets lost. Joker finds both goal barriers, and now strikes it up to the top side. Very quick goal on a sloppy transition from WEEBRON, and that's what Joker especially is going to punish you for.
Most definitely breaks the ankles of Zaxmac, but Zaxmac still has a flip available here, so has that defensive utility and also the potential to get an aggressive attack going because he's been playing so far up already and it's been so successful. No reason to stop now.
Joker hasn't really been successful in finding a lot of KOs. Obviously has been finding a decent number of conversions, but at this point, there are very few opportunities where the core actually gets over to him. At least so it seems. Decent amount of the possession on the last point has been for Weeeee. Glitch Pop comes out here. Kainoop looking to keep it in the corner. Beautiful cross up from Joker, but Zaxmac got the energy burst this time. Once more, and I imagine that ought to go in. Wee's going to send it back up to the top side here on the opposite side of the pitch. Off the gravity well, Zaxmac will collect. And here's a Cyrus wipe here as Carmine continues to try to keep possession. Down to the bottom corner, barely. Barcode will collect, and finally Joker finds a KO. Power play opportunity here. Kainoop starts to step forward, but the clear is made through the wickets of both Joker and Kainoop. Finally, Joker will find that cross-up angle he's been looking for the whole day. It's another set, but this time to equalize.
Game is equalized. First pick is on Joker, and you do have an adrenaline rush. You have a 1-2 punch. You have in the impact. It's almost too much for Joker to choose from. We'll opt for the 1-2, which is also going to be a great deny off of the Juno. And the scaling is starting to get a little bit more online. You noticed it already after the first draft. It started to get a little bit more difficult already for the side of Weeeee to play into Showtime, and this is going to accelerate even further now. Because they have a 1-2 on top of that Juno, right? They have the heavy impact, had to have been a deny off of Weeeee here to make sure the Zentaro stays within reason, but there's again a twin drive that's going to be a pickup for Barcode, so that super surge speed up from Mako is going to happen even more now, and it's going to be an even bigger issue now for Weeeee to be dealing with.
The more speed that you can pass off to Joker, the better, and certainly will be looking to do just that, meanwhile minimizing the impact that both Weeeee and Carmine can have. Almost playing somewhat of a dual goalie for that little point as they walk the core up the pitch. Not able to find a barrier here though, and Barcode continues locking it down here for that goal barrier on that side. Melee goalie sitting on top of the goal barrier. So used to seeing that out of him in particular. Here's the Fiery Flurry from Joker. Gets sent away. Core goes around the backside of the goal barrier here. Kainoop looking to collect once more. Up to Joker, who does have an energy burst. Could be looking for the top side of the pitch, because that really... The cross angle was not covered. If Joker could have found that energy burst at the top of the box, but it wasn't allowed to get up to him. Overtime now. Core speed flying. Here's Joker. Doesn't even need the energy burst. Will just collect it himself and send it in.
Together with the 1-2 punch, just the core got way too fast to really be dealing with Zach, for Zach there. Gets a clean little self-pass, gets a nice little redirect, and an insane energy advantage on Showtime now. They're trying to immediately use that as well to get some barriers, but actually have a negative play there. Never mind.
Oh, Kainoop pops an energy burst and finds both barriers. Beautiful angle play here. Now looking to keep it forward to Joker again. Main problem here with the Juno goalie is you just don't have the options to get this Juliet out of your face. Joker's continued to sit there and has been pretty efficient when it comes to scoring these things, right? And now we're seeing more of those opportunities start to come online as the build gets stronger. Energy burst now. Here from Barcode, bottom side. Joker's going to get sent off the pitch. The recovery drone will get procced. Now, he gets procced out of the opposing brawler as well. Here's the bottom side. Goal barrier down. Strike shot will keep that south goal barrier alive here for Barcode, and Carmine also sent off the pitch here. Everyone's recovery drone now down. All three players that elected to take it as our starter awakening. Another time where it goes around the backside out of Carmine's glitch pop. Can't quite catch a break here. These little bees in this set so far. Also can't quite have the same level of possession they've had previously, and now Joker finds the KO. Power play opportunity. Here's the energy burst. Cross up again. Zaxback is there, but it's denied by Kainoob. Always have to pay attention to where he will end up, and hasn't made his presence really known so far in this game, but now certainly will with that denial and his pick of the litter here in this draft.
Yeah, Kainoob and Joker have been so clinical up front and making it so difficult for Zach to really get any kind of clear outs. Like, any angle is just completely covered. And again, we're in another point, we're in another draft, and that's just going to be even more snowball that's going to find its way into the hands of Showtime. Team player going to help a lot with getting a fast attack going and getting that set up. Some more size for Joker, also very much worth highlighting, because that's going to make the dash punch even more difficult to deal with, and obviously just basic strike wars as well. We getting a good amount of damage with the Stinger together with Missile Prop on Carmen as well, but I'm not sure if they can still consistently find KOs after that Showtime's been scaling so much already.
It just doesn't feel like it's going to be enough quite at this point, right? Joker is going to be even more impossible to move around. Doesn't really, has the extra stagger, has the reptile remedy here as well. Continues to heal up. You're not going to be able to just get rid of this guy. Now he's got plenty of extra size, plenty of extra damage. You can tell because Wee ends up getting taken down quite easily, quite frequently. Hasn't been KO'd yet and almost finds the goal there, but the slice and dice comes up just a little bit too short. Gravity Well is there, and beautiful play from Wee here to collapse on the goal on the other side of the pitch off that opportunity. 1v1 versus Barcode, and we will take that.
It got a little bit close towards the end. A lot of damage has found its way onto Wee, which is that danger when you are playing Zatara, right? You're not necessarily healthy compared to other strikers, but talking about healthy, those barriers have been gone way too fast at Showtime. They're just looking to close this one off almost immediately and try to get themselves another goal here as they walk up and the flip comes out from Kainoob. Yeah, we'll just translate that. Excellent play.
Silent for a decent chunk of the game, but silent no longer. Kainoob going to be able to take multiple barriers now, and, again, right, the extra speed coming out of Barcode, plus the Flutterfly, really is what's going to enable more coverage, and that wouldn't have happened in the first set here. So the scaling comp seems to have successfully scaled, and now a beautiful drum and bass here. Angles from Barcode to send the core away, keep it out of the barrier. Joker with another energy burst, uses it early here, maybe looking for Kainoob. No, just trying to walk it in all of the same. Now Kainoob has to be very careful, but all the meanwhile, the core was lost. Joker gets it in his hands, and suddenly it's game point for Showtime.
A game that just like a little bit ago felt very even and very clinical about execution has started to completely swing another way. I feel like at this point, it's just kind of Showtime trying to get the job done because they have just scaled, right? We said it from the beginning. So we'll see if they can close it off in this point already, or if Weeeees maybe can force another set.
Oh no, but both barriers go down. Here's a fiery flurry right on top of the goal line, and the caster curse comes through. Zaxback KO'd into his own net for the final goal of game one. Showtime showing why they're the real deal.
Yeah, wasn't intended, but Showtime really, they really just showed us why they are such a great team as well there. Because I want to highlight it again, Zaxback had so little possibilities of really getting a clear out. Kainoob and Joker were just always in front of him, always present, making it difficult for his Juno to get any kind of clear out. And because it is a Juno pick, you're not going to be good in close range defense like a more defensive goalie option. Which means if enemy forwards are suffocating you as much as Showtime has suffocated Zach, it's just going to be difficult to play out. So towards the end, it really just felt like almost close to impossible to play for the side of Weeeees.
Especially as the set wore on, right? Because look at this, right? Like, damage was actually quite going to the favor of WEEBRON, especially early on. They had a lot of opportunities where there were power plays, and a lot of those ended up leading to those goals in those first 2 sets. But as the game continued to progress, less and less was about being able to find those, and more was just about Joker and Kainu being able to run all over the map, thanks to what this composition enables them to do. When the Juliet win rate, Sloth, continues to skyrocket, we are still in 90% territory, I'm pretty sure, here right now for this striker.
Yeah, Juliet just showing the excellence that the pick is right now. Obviously, all of the changes around her has given her so much more life to be shining, and you can see it, right? And that's going to be a discussion point going into the next game, which is, I believe, on Clarion. So, because now for WEEBRON, we need to start thinking, right? Obviously, Weeeee is also a Julie enjoyer, so if they can get their hands onto that, they're going to be very happy for it. But it's a question of, is it even going to be open? Is Showtime maybe going to opt to ban it out if they're not getting to pick it themselves? So we'll have to see how those bans and those picks are going to be built up upon each other and where the priorities are going to be lying.
I mean, the cards are kind of in your hand right now if you're Showtime, right? You obviously pretty convincingly won it. You show that you can play it. And the last game, of course, right? Showtime on blue side did end up banning the Finny away, which obviously, right, is another one of these characters that you don't really want to play against. And so we'll see where this one continues to go. Obviously, right, like the Estelle ban, I guess is a little questionable if you're WEEBRON, right? We've seen this character come out. Obviously, like, perhaps you're thinking of a comfort champion for Kainu or something of the sort, but there's no comfort striker for Kainu. Every striker is the comfort striker in the midfield slot for Kainu, as far as I'm concerned. So, to your point, though, we'll see where this one goes. Options are on the table here. WEEBRON on the blue side, and it is a Might of the Colossus Happy Star start up first here. I don't really know what that means, other than obviously, right, we see the Size Awakening, so it's got to be a good one for Julie still.
It's always a good one for Julie, and especially if you have something like Might. Again, it adds a little bit more threat to the pick, because if you can add something like a Mako or an Era to it, that can also give you some size. You're also being given more damage, right? Extra Special, on the other hand, quite a few differing picks that enjoy themselves a little bit of the Extra Special. You can look at Amy with the turrets, play around that, play with that aggressively. You can also opt to just go for something like the Juno again, right? Juno Blobos are going to be very difficult to deal with, especially if there's so many on the field. And I feel like I wouldn't even be able to pinpoint where the picks are going to be going with this one, because it seems pretty widespread. There's a large group of strikers that can enjoy either or the other awakening, or just one of the 2 awakenings, which means it can go anywhere, really. It's just going to come down to maybe player preference or meta reads. So, going to be intrigued to see where the bans are going to be and where the picks are going to be for this draft.
We'll see. Hopefully they end up starting this relatively soon. Of course, remember, in the most boring map select of Omega Strikers ever, Game 3 will be Night Market, should we get to that point. And I imagine if you're Showtime, you're feeling confident there because you just run back the Kitten Comp and you call it a day. And WEEBRON actually respect that currently. So actually, it's the Mako and Julie both banned away. I think that's actually incredibly interesting, because maybe Showtime saw the Mako ban and decided to ban the Julie instead.
I feel like the Julie ban was just kind of predetermined already. It's been so successful. Yeah. It's a pretty strong pick. You're not going to be giving that over as a first pick. The Mako ban, I feel like, makes sense as well, because together with Might of the Colossus, you don't need to pair the Kitten Comp with specifically just Julie. You can still do it with an X. You can do it with an Asher to some degree, or many other brawlers as well, and have the same kind of effectiveness behind it. So they also just saying, you know what, Barcode, you're kind of good at the character. We're not going to let you have that, especially not when it's so beneficial to get that size. As the Finny first pick is just going to be dishing out damage. And the Era, again, it feels like maybe we're going into more of Kitten territory, just this time around, not as optimized as it was last round.
I think at the end of the day, right, like, probably if Kainu hasn't been playing the game that seriously that often, Era's going to be one of those just plug-and-play strikers, right? Where, like, all right, well, I have to carry the game less if I'm playing this Era character, right? Asher is the pick here. Actually, I can't even presume that that's out of Joker, because that could go either way. I'm going to guess that that's mostly for Joker, and Barcode will probably pick like an Atlas or something last, which probably won't end up getting taken early here from WEEBRON, but I suppose we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, that's the strength of the pick at this point, right? Because not
Yeah.
only you have to guess, Weeeees have to guess. And this also gives a little bit of flexibility, right? Maybe you're intending for the Asher to go into that brawler position, and then you're seeing Weeeees lock in something that cannot score on an Asher. You can still flex that pick into net without issue, and it's going to be just as effective. So, really annoying to be like a really just strong draft from Showtime because they're really not giving you anything. They're saying we have an arrow in midfield, and what can you really do about that, you know? So Weeeees do opt for the X Brawler pick up front, and they pick a now as well. So they're going similar-ish type of playstyle. They're trying to enable the Brawler here, trying to get that speed, get some survivability as well, together with a Finny who can just hold it down defensively pretty well, while still dishing out a bit of damage if you need to have it. And yeah, last pick, Atlas. Asher's going to be in Brawler. And the only mobile character on the side of Showtime is the Era. The other two are kind of like sitting ducks, but you know, that's why you enable them.
Yeah, right. That's why the extra speed from the Era is very impactful. I will say the real question here is who's playing the actual kitten comp, because I'm not sure that I can tell. Obviously, right, the Atlas is there to heal. We have Kaidub on the Era, all funneling towards Joker. Meanwhile, on the other side, now is going to be able to provide much the same speed boost for the X, right? The damage debuff as well from the Finny on the back line, also mostly funneling towards the X. So this is really going to be a battle of the two brawlers here as they attempt to do their best to fight off one another.
Yeah, the only thing that I can pinpoint as a difference is in the goalie picks, right? Because you have a movement speed heavy midfielder who wants to control the core. You have a very strong brawler forward who can shove the core extremely well. You have Atlas and Finny. Atlas is just going to hold it down, lock it down, help you with survivability if you need it. Meanwhile, Finny can assist a little bit with the shove up front. Atlas has a much more difficult time getting involved in a play like this. But Finny, with her card tricks, with her triple takes, can do so much or create so much more extra pressure up front. So I feel like that's where it might be a little bit more of the difference between the picks and between the comps here. To see how well can this Finny add in the pressure. Is that extra pressure going to be enough to get past Barcode? Or is Barcode just going to hold it on and Finny eventually is just going to fall behind because she doesn't have that much defensive utility compared to an Atlas pick?
Yeah, well, just keep in mind, right, that there's plenty of opportunities for Barker to pick up things like projectile distance, and in fact, does have the strike shot here, right, as the main gear thing, which you often see, right, for Atlases. That's no real surprise, but it is worth noting that that extra projectile range really does make an impact, and so it might not feel, especially early, like Barcode could get very involved on those aggressive plays, and sure, won't probably have as much stuffing potential as a triple take on the other side out of Carmine, but when you pair that with the defensive might of a melee goalie overall, it can be that much more impactful. Gold Bearers go down here early. Zack Smack is back to help out here as well, and Carmine also trying their best, but combined, they can't get it done. Kainoob steps up to put the goal through.
Yeah, and I just completely misread that as well. That's a now in net, not the Finny. So it's going to be even more interesting to see how Zaxmax's going to be approaching a defense here, because now into Asher, I'm not sure how good that matchup is for you. I'm not sure how much of an easy time you will have defending here. So going to be curious to see how that's going to plan out as we're going into the funny little orb map.
Yeah, just gonna be more about doing your best to keep the core well away, right? Which obviously is going back to basics of a Mega Strikers 101, which I imagine if you're playing with Mega Strikers at this point, you don't really need to know the basics because we've been doing this for this long enough. But even still, right, like, all about this now goalie is about trying to set up those drones, trying to make it so that you're never, the Asher is never sitting on top of you, because the core never gets up to that point. And so the more that that can happen, the better off that Weeeees here are going to be. Meanwhile, though, the offense is going to start coming through. Joker finds the energy burst to find one KO, while WEEB picks up the Project Maelstrom Orb, and we'll have a little more of a commanding presence for the first part of this power play. Now we'll pop the energy burst here, but Joker doesn't really feel much of damage at all from that X Maximus and the Energy Burst combination. Path Splitter, beautiful timing on that, right up as a core meets that goal barrier. Now just one primary seems to be all it'll take to put the goal away here. Wee's backed up quite a bit as well, trying to keep this triangle tighter and provide more opportunities for the defensive plays to start coming through. Barcode luckily does not need to commit the Energy Burst on that little goof there. Here's the Expanse. Wee looks for it off the top side, and once again can't quite keep up for now. Joker this time taken off of the pitch. Kainu burns the Energy Burst even just as defense for a moment, and Wee finds an interesting angle. I don't know that that was fully intentional, but you'll definitely take that here for the Bees.
It's always intentional. It was so intentional. I don't think anyone in the lobby saw it. You know, so.
Always will be taking that one, regardless. Energy Burst here coming out of Carmine again. Here's the dash punch from Wee. Will make a power play for the Bees. Then the Expanse in the middle is burned. Good strike wars from Wee here over Barcode, and Zaxback has moved a little too far forward, looking for the goal on this power play. Once again, the Expanse is used. Skyrockets the core forward, but enough members were around, and the power play is dissipated. Carmine sneaks up forward, and the core gets over to Wee decently quick enough. So good overall consistent pressure there coming out from Wee's Little Bees. They're now on set point.
Wee's Little Bees, it's something I've just always been seeing them do, and I've just been kind of loving about their playstyle as well. They play so aggressively. Zaxmack just completely walks up at times. Sometimes it's a big grief, yes, but there's a bit of risk that will come with a playstyle like that. And if it ends up working out, it's so incredibly efficient. And you were able to see that on the last point there. They need to find angles like this, and again, Zaxmack over the halfway line, you know, just cleanly transitioning positioning with Carmine there. Just doing such a good job at building that pressure, and that's the kind of pressure and added pressure that you will love to have when you go up against an ultra defensive goalie like the Sapless. It's a flip from Joker, actually comes out, and the goal just barely goes in. KO found for Wee though. XP advantage.
Small little XP advantage. But yes, to your point, something we've been noticing a lot in the past 2 games. We have to be pretty careful here because pretty soon we might be calling it the Zaxmack line rather than the Yeesh line. If he's not incredibly careful and picks his battles wisely. Kainu, once again, Bewitching Beam finds its mark and takes the barrier. Seems like most of the time it's just a formality, but actually the map geometry here favoring Wee's Little Bees right now keeps it in this corner, and you see the lifeline come through for Zaxmack getting involved on the front lines. Joker low. Here's the X Maximus pops, trying to just get the KO, and we will find it here. Power play opportunity now with the Asher not to worry about. Dashing in, Expanse is burned. Here's the Energy Burst from Barcode as well, but now the Atlas has exhausted his resources. Kainu will step forward to get a nice little strike, stall out for a little more time, and Joker finally will come back online. Some of those cooldowns have come back up for Barcode by this point as well, and Zaxback again has to start walking backwards. Here comes Joker trying to collapse on the goal. Not this time. Dashing forward is Wee, maybe looking for the KO there, or just popped the button a little bit too early. Zaxback once again gets a little careful with it. Pops off the post and will stay out for now. Here's the pass down. Now trying to find the connection back up to Wee, but Carmine can't quite do it. There's nothing in the way for now. Finally, it's there, but the X Maximus doesn't come out in time. Barcode now uses the Expanse to prevent himself from getting KO'd and stall out the X Maximus again. And so the defense continues to hold, at least for a while longer. Carmine looking for Wee once more. Finally, it finds the post and bounces right in. But how long was the iron wall held?
Incredible angle to be found there, because the defense from Showtime just seemed to have absolutely no weaknesses. But in the end, a great angle had to be found there, and they did end up finding it. And I feel like we're in a similar situation that we were in the last game, where scaling is going to be so important. Just this time around, Wee's Little Bees are going to be able to keep up a little bit with that scaling on the side of Showtime. So getting a set win here is great for you, but it's not going to suddenly turn around at a later point as heavily. And looking at the Awakening picks that have been picked up, Spark of Leadership is a great start for WEEE. It makes every single Spark so threatening for him to pick up in the future. Missile Prop going to help a lot with damage for Carmen as well, and Hotshot, obviously a great Awakening for the now. So even though you have a decent amount of Awakenings, right? Monumentalist era is still incredibly effective. I feel like WEEEE is incredibly happy with how this draft has gone through.
I actually have to go back and look because the other part of the missile propulsion could also be the denial away from barcode, right? Realizing that there's an extra higher priority on that extra projectile range for the projection of this Atlas. Of course, we'll see whether or not that denial makes it even more difficult for barcode to get involved. But for now, even on the penalty kill, Kainoob finds some goal barriers, just walks right up here, and the play is not set for WEEEE. Finally, they'll be able to find their mark here. Goal barrier down. Triple take was out. Zach's back down to Carmine. Here's the misdirection. Beautiful big finish. Sends it right around to WEEEE. And the team play comes together.
They did such a good job controlling the core there. You even had a little section beforehand where Carmen was just kind of self-traveling off the middle. Just aura farming, essentially. But it just works so well because this team comp of Showtime is so immobile. They have such a hard time getting to core if it's not in your face already, which means if WEEEE continuously play away from where Showtime currently is, they can't really contest you anymore. So as long as they can keep that consistent, they're looking really good going into this set as a... I mean, they already have a lead, right?
Currently do have the lead in the game so far, and now another opportunity for a goal as the power play comes through. Energy Burst is used at a Zack Smack here as well. Wonder if Carmine will burn his in a moment. Doesn't look like at least quite yet. Once again, looking for this play, maybe waiting for a couple of Awakenings to come online. But meanwhile, here comes Joker in the Project Maelstrom Orb. Carmine will use his Energy Burst to get that core out of there. And the big finish has come out here as well. Right back up to WEEEE. Beautiful finesse of this Finny ultimate. Zack Smack looking for WEEEE, but it actually hits a triangle in the middle and means that Showtime will intercept. Joker's got to be careful here, otherwise might find himself KO'd once again. Doesn't really have many things in the way of survivability right now. And you mentioned these strikers not being able to be mobile. It means that they're just the constant target alive for damage to pile on top, especially when the Finny debuff does connect. For now, though, a little bit of a stall. Beautiful patience here from Zack's back, waiting for Kainoob to back on away and prepare on the defensive side. Joker takes a shot. Zack Smack is there. Triple take, big finish, out again. Probably looking for WEEEE. Almost is able to set it up once more. Kainoob actually this time is going to be the one that takes the Project Maelstrom Orb away. And we're in overtime. Core speed starts to pick up. Beautiful little pass there, but Joker just wide with the shot. Here's an Energy Burst. Once again, patient. Looking for the connection here. Carmine actually just throwing it forward in the big finish. And it's the second set point already for WEEEE.
And what a beautiful pass there from WEEEE, by the way. Noticing, hey, I'm not going to get this past the Atlas in any way, shape, or form. Carmen walks up to help and sets himself up beautifully with that Finny ultimate there. So incredibly well played to, first of all, see the pass and then execute on it so well as well.
Now, Carmine's been in the lab here with some of these Finny ultimates. The way that the core has been able to move around seemingly always to get in the right spot at the right time in the plays that do end up becoming successful is a big reason. But even while WEEEE was busy getting a KO, Kainoob, not to be outdone, will pop the Energy Burst, send the core through, and shows that there's still signs of life here for Showtime.
Still very much signs of life, but they're still playing an uphill battle at this point. They're fighting an uphill battle because Carmen has a flip, right? That is going to be a bit dangerous to deal with. It is gone. That's actually huge.
Already burned away here. WEEEE forced to retreat, though, and now is going to be KO'd all the same. Finally, a power play opportunity here for Showtime as they look to the top corner. They use it in an effort to get the goal barrier. And are now looking down the bottom side. Big finish this time was interrupted. And it's back over to the blue side of the pitch here. Kainu sets up the Maelstrom. Core doesn't quite get in front of it in time. I'm just looking to send this one, keep this one away from Wee's little bees for now. Joker just doesn't really have enough tools at the moment. Big Finish is out. Here's the energy burst here. Carmine, only so much you can do as the Finny with the Brawler core flipped in the top of the box. Set point for both teams now.
Yeah, and that is the downside of the risks that Zach is taking, right? By walking up so much. If the core goes around you, it's just going to be incredibly difficult to defend, especially if you just allow the Asher pick on Joker to be so aggressive, so upfront, and so consistently threatening there. It's going to be difficult to hold on to those points.
Both goal barriers already down now. Showtime looking to just equalize the game here. Feels like we've been here for a while, but no, folks, this is only set 2. Core flip used. Not quite getting us to set 3 yet. Zaxmac wants to keep us right here. Give his team another opportunity at some of these goal barriers, and there's the core flip used to find one. Trying to keep the core forward here. Drone also comes out. Doesn't find anything yet. Patience here from Zaxmac. Kainu looking for Joker. Can't find it yet. There's the energy burst and the X Maximus from Wee, but it'll actually just burn out. 2 very important resources just burned from the Brawler of the Bees. Overtime now as the Maelstrom sweeps through the pitch. Up to Zaxmac again, but a Bewitching Beam will actually intercept this. Joker, maybe an opportunity here. Scramble on the defensive side, but the defense will hold for a moment. Big Finish out. Has to scoop the core away. Joker continues firing shots towards the goal. Maelstrom out again. Not able to team up with the core here. For Showtime, meanwhile, Barcode holding on the back lines. KO comes through. Power play opportunity now for Showtime. Strike shot comes up just shy. Here's the energy burst. Barcode almost looking for the shot himself. Doesn't find it there. Triple take. Intercepts the core away from Joker in the passing lane. Interrupted again between Kainoob and Joker. Carmine with the energy burst here. Has the misdirection. Again, covering that passing lane. The Expanse almost used. Strike War finally goes to the favor of Wee after so long. Here's the X Maximus, but there's actually an energy burst from Kainoob. Sends the core straight through everybody to the other side.
That was such a controlled and, like, it was such an intense point, but not hectic, if that makes sense. Both teams just controlling the core, getting it into areas to play with, making sure the enemy doesn't get a touch on it if they don't want it to them to get a touch on it, and making it so difficult to play. And in the end, Showtime, especially with that flip from Kainu, just was enough for them to find that angle and get the goal, as they're now going to be rewarded with more speed on the era. A spark pickup for Barcode, largely going to be a deny as to not get cooldown for the entirety of Wee's low Bs. Some size onto X is going to help a bit as well for Wee here. The heavy impact, by the way, for Zaxmac, going to help a lot with those cooldowns. Going to make sure this now can enable her forwards so much more consistently here.
Was definitely expecting the spark of agility to get picked up from Wee, but actually just passed on it altogether. So there's only one more spark in the game right now, despite Wee having the spark of leadership picked up as the first pick in the first draft. Seems like it could have potentially led to not the highest amount of impact on the game. Obviously, size is size when you're playing any brawler. Maybe we'll wonder what could have gone differently later, especially as speed was picked up for Kainoob, especially with those stacks on stacks. Obviously, some more size here out of Carmine. A little bit of extra speed there as well, but a small little Fitty. How much is it going to be able to do? Dancing around the pitch here in the midfield. Actually, quite a bit, right, with the summons and such, but I digress. Here's the dash punch coming out of Wee. Denied in the core flip is Joker, and now the triangle comes out. There's a beautiful bell ringer right back to Wee, who will punch it through.
Those few KOs that Wee is just finding every once in a while, they add so much, right? Because this is, again, it's so slow, it's so controlled. As soon as you get a man advantage on the enemy team, it makes it so much more easier. So we finding these KOs holds so much value, and allowing WEEEes to set up properly and go for KOs properly as a huge X is unleashed.
There it is, picked up 2 Size Awakenings in the last draft alone, with the Among Titans out of Carmine, and now the goal barrier is starting to fall here. There's the energy burst, and we will punch it through again. Just so fast, and being able to do that and capitalize on the play. Consistent pressure kept up here, and right now Showtime struggling to send it past the midfield and goalie of WEEEes.
Yeah, both teams looking to scale, and as of right now, we have scaled a little bit harder, just getting all that size to be working with. Kainoop still looking for the first awakening even, that's just gonna enhance the secondary even more. Something like Castellas, right, is still to watch out for, because that is still in the draft, and that is gonna be such a game changer for whoever is gonna be able to get it, as both teams are trying to get this second barrier off of each other.
Second barrier will fall as Zaxmac moves up a little bit too far forward. Triple take is out. There's that bell ringer. Can't collect the core the same way it did the first time, and now Zaxmac just stalls for a moment, looking for an opening here. Carmine does have an energy burst, will use it here, looking for WEEB, but Barcode uses his energy burst. WEEB doesn't quite time the denial as well, and now Joker steps forward. Beautiful KO, looks to take the shot, but it'll get sent away from Zaxmac for a moment. That just gives another opportunity for Kainoop to close in on the goal. Energy burst and down to Joker for the redirect. Showtime, once again, trying to show signs of life and claw back in this set.
Saving grace for the side of WEEEes is that Showtime currently is on basically 0 energy, which means they're not going to have a lot of flips to be working with in this point. So this is the point you're going to be wanting to find here and to get the set win, and they're definitely looking for it as both barriers drop, and WEEEee has a flip available to him as well.
That energy burst online is going to be critical here unless it has to get burned to the defensive side. Joker finds the barrier versus Zaxmac here. Drone is out. We might be looking to collect here. The big finish is out, but the core is sent away before the explosion. Here's the energy burst. Comes out maybe a little preemptively and can't guarantee the goal. Stays out for now. Kainoop up to Joker. Joker's not there in time. Doesn't have any speed whatsoever on this Asher without that Flutterfly bonus. We'll be looking for it, but it doesn't matter. Carmine continues to take care of business himself with those big finishes. Has been the finisher for multiple goals so far, and WEEEes just 1 set away from taking game 2.
Ooh, that snowball is starting to get a little bit stronger for WEEEes. We will have the choice between Adrenaline Rush or Specialized Training here. Just getting a bit more damage. Goes for Reptile as well. And actually, not even that bad, right? You want that extra survivability. You don't necessarily need more damage to continue playing for these KOs. But the primetime pickup for Kainoop is going to make WEE's life a lot more difficult now, because I do not believe this X is going to stay big for very long. Other than that, just speed being picked up across the board. Joker getting the Adrenaline Rush for himself. So if the side of Showtime can find a KO and play off of it, that's going to be an immensely strong power play.
Both teams probably looking for plenty of power plays. I imagine that's part of the logic, too, from WEEEee, is denying away those defensive awakenings and preventing them from getting out of hand. Though the one thing I will say is that at this point, it feels like if a Bewitching Beam comes out of Kainoop, WEEEee just shrinks back down to normal size. And it's not actually that big of a problem. Obviously, not exactly what you want as a brawler even still, right? But maybe not quite as damning, I suppose. All things considered. Here's Joker looking for the fancy footwork. Flutterfly is out of Kainoop. Can't collect the core, and it just drifts down to the bottom side. Carmine's in the way. Just continuing to try to dance around Joker. Here's the energy. Has to use the energy burst now for Zaxmac. Joker looks to deny that one, but that was scary if the energy burst didn't come out. Now Zaxmac so far forward. Here's the big finish. It has to be committed on the defensive side again. We now looking for the KO versus Joker, and he'll find it. Power play opportunity for WEEEes. The triple take is out, but the expanse is burned, and it gets sent back to the other side of the pitch. Hats off to you for that one, Barcode.
The amount of emotion that Zaxmac is pulling me through, going from like an insane save against that Asher ultimate to almost getting scored on, to getting caught by the Finny ultimate again, and it's gonna be fine, to then just getting scored on again. Now it's a double barrier. Oh no.
Both barriers fall, and if possession was maintained here for Showtime, could be a problem. Pass splitter out again, doesn't connect with the core. Joker's still in that cloak. Now dashes forward, leaps for it, and just has the slight redirect needed. Suddenly, it's set point for Showtime, trying to send us to the prime time set.
Ooh, that is a very scary set to go into if you are the side of WEEEE, because I mentioned it before. Castellas still on the board. If Kainu was even close to the start of the next Awakening draft, you are gonna be in for some trouble.
Oh no!
Both barriers drop. Uh-oh.
What is happening now all of a sudden from WEEEE? You looked so calm and composed earlier, but now it's double barrier after double barrier after double barrier, it feels. Could have been 3 quick points for Showtime here in this 4th set to really pick up the pace of the plot. Looks like they're still looking to finalize the goal. Can't quite do it yet. Weeeee is backed on away, but there's the core flip on the goal line. And here we are, folks. It's the primetime hour.
Asher is getting the first pick, so at least it is not Kainu. If Kainu gets the first pick here for the Castellas, it's looking a very, very grim. Asher's still gonna be able to get up an insane amount of Awakening, so you have some more size you can go for. Twin Drive is something that Barcode's gonna be eyeing, and I mean, someone's gonna have to take Castellas from WEEEE. Fortunately for you, both X and Now are kind of fine with it. So I believe this is going to be a pickup, yes, for Weeeee, making sure that that's not going to go on to the era, which is a saving grace to some degree. You have more cooldowns on Barcode, picking up a second Spark here, and obviously Twin Drive, an incredible pickup for Smack as well to help with those mines and that upkeep. But if you're WEEEE, you're already not happy you're in this 5th set in the first place, and now there's more power on the side of Showtime, so you're going to have to find a very strong approach for this set here.
I'm actually very curious on this one here because the size, of course, on the big fish, of course, is important for Joker, but the little bit of extra stagger, too, might play more of a role than we think, especially given by the fact that he already had an additional one, going to make him a little bit more difficult of that target to fall. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't say anything about his midfielder, who's already taken off the pitch here to start off our 5th set. Carmine collecting the core, just trying to keep possession here. Zaxmack was pretty far forward, but we'll keep the core away from the barrier for now. The Flutterfly speed is out, as is the secondary speed from Zaxmack. And the core drifts to the red side of the pitch. Here's the bull rush forward. Barcode, beautiful energy burst, keeping this away, but there's the X-Tech, uses the X-Maximus to find the goal barrier, and 3 energy bursts are online right now for WEEEE. Everything in the toolkit here could be thrown towards the goal, and 1 will go around, 2 gets denied by Joker, and now all of a sudden it's 2 energy bursts for Showtime here as well. They can send this one right back the other direction, and Weeeee low on resources at this point. Separated from Zaxmack on the front lines. Maelstrom looks to walk in the core. Beautiful energy bursts exchanged here. Zaxmack keeps this goal barrier alive. Really important and crucial right now. Continues to do it and then sends it away again. Finally, a KO comes through here. Joker taken off of the pitch, and the pitch opens up all of the sudden for WEEEE, but the core continues to fly and feels impossible to control. Joker's back online, and here comes Kainu with the Project Maelstrom orb. No, doesn't quite collapse on it soon, but there is the bewitching beam to send it through in overtime.
It's turning into a game of consistency. Who's gonna be able to just hold off these strong attacks from both the enemy side the longest? And obviously Barcode is gonna do an excellent job at that. So it's gonna come down to how long is Zaxmack gonna help him to gonna be able to hold on to these points. But they almost get another one pretty swiftly here anyways.
Here comes the triple take, looking for Weeeee again. Is the big finish online? Doesn't matter, it's not needed. The X-Maximus comes out, and we're still tied.
They're not over. It's not over yet. It's not over yet. Carmen has a flip available here as well. Probably wants to use that to get that second barrier, because that's always that difficult part, especially if you're going up against an Atlas. So we'll see if that's going to come to use at the right time.
There's the Expanse that finds 1 barrier. We might be looking for it again, but actually Barcode with a nice strike war, or preemptive strike war, I suppose, gets it away from the X. Here's another triple take, big finish in the corner. It finds the barrier. Energy burst online right now for WEEEE here as well. It bounces off of the corner, and WEEEE finds the shot to the bottom side. 1 point away from Weeee's Little Bees, sending us to a map 3.
Kind of not able to react to that in time. Now has a flip soon on the Sarah, which again, flips are just so instrumental, especially in a controlled map like a map environment like this. But Joker had something to say about it. Gets one barrier. Can he find the second?
Looking for the second here, but with Kainoob also on the same side of the pitch, might be difficult. But actually, Joker continues to block off that bottom clearing angle, and now finally will find the second barrier. Big finish already burned, as has the Expanse and the triple take. Carmine just threw everything out on the pitch looking for goal barriers, now gets KO'd, and Joker picks up the core. It's a decisive point in game 2.
And it sets up Showtime so well for this point 5 as well. They have 2 flips available for themselves. They need to make these flips count, and if they do, I'm sure they can close off this game, but one's out already.
Oh no, Joker already burned his. The pass splitters come through. Kainoob uses his. It goes off of the extra geometry added. Goal barriers open now. Just one more shot from Joker is all this one needs, and the Bees will be put to rest. There's the beam and the no! It was so good so far today. But the core ends up on the wrong side of the big finish and goes flying towards the Weee's Little Bees net. Not like this, Slaw. Not like this.
Oh no, they played it so well. They were keeping up the fight for so long, and in the end, the funny little Finny ability was a bit too much. The goal is found for Showtime, and Showtime finds the victory.
Oh. They had so much going for them there at the end. Everything seemed to come together. And then at the very end, they're going to regret that one for a little while, I'm afraid, on that one. Beautiful play from both teams here. And again, right, like, I think here's the most interesting part, I think, about this series. Coming into the season whatsoever, oh cool, Weee's Little Bees qualifies, but like Showtime has won every S tier for the longest time. That was not the presumptive best team in the league stomping against the newbies, right? Like, that was incredibly close in the season that we expect to be incredibly close.
100%. Weee's Little Bees, they had chances to just they showed the potential to take it multiple times, and they just kind of fell short at the end. But it's still like, it might be a loss, but it's a loss to the current defending champions. You know, like, it's fine, and you had an incredible showing with it, which is also great for yourself as well. Obviously, if you can choose, you wish to not start the season off 1 and 3, but it's still an incredible show of strength and a good sign for them going into the remainder of the season for sure.
No team is a sleeper team in the North American Strikers League, as the next 2 teams will continue to prove. It's PPL versus the soon-to-boo Strikers on the other side of this short break.